Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Locked Door MMA. I'm Brevin. This is my co-host JP. We're so excited to be back with you guys for another breakdown, analysis, and prediction video. Before we dive into UFC 303, let's talk about this past weekend, UFC Saudi Arabia. I went 8-3 on the card. It was an absolute banger. I was so happy with my prediction of Volkov by decision and many other winning method predictions as well. It was surgical. We were very proud of it. We were, messaging each other back and forth on Saturday, just super stoked about our predictions and how that went. Um, JP, tell me some things that stood out from that card from your perspective.
Well, the prelims, we were smoking the prelims, man. 5-1, and the one that we didn't get right, it was just a curse of this card, man. Canceled bouts, replacement bouts. What was it? Dumas and Tululin that got canceled, and we had a in a parlay. Felipe Lima, 3 days notice, came up, took on Naimov, choked him out in round three. Impressive win, man. Felipe Lima, it looks like he's gonna be a problem for this weight class. Other than that, man, I mean the prelims kind of went exactly like we said it was gonna go. A lot of decisions, a lot of close rounds. Gaffrov with that nasty ass patch of hair on his back. I mean, just keep checking him off, dude. The first fight, Lee and Long, that was a good fight, competitive fight, decisions, which I feel like it was kind of the thing of the whole card was the decisions kind of either way. Like it wasn't a if it
Yeah.
went either way, it wasn't going to be a robbery type thing. It was pretty back and forth. But then Gadzia Slulov and Ribeiro was on him early, gassed out. OVEV, Gadzia Slulov all over him the rest of the fight. Gavrov, I mean that fight, it was boring. Like we said, it was going to be. It was boring. But your boy Renat, he had a close fight. Dalby looked like he came to play, dude.
Can
Were
we
you
talk about Dalby's breathing methods real quick?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
I know. It's weird, man. Were you nervous at all in that fight though? Because Dalby, he got sat down in like the first round or something from a big shot from Renat. And then after that he was kind of coming back a little bit, no?
I think that's kind of Dalby's MO. He normally does that. He is normally out skilled in these fights, but he is a warrior. He's tough. He doesn't go away easy, and he will kind of make you go into some deep, deep waters and really have to dig deep to even get him out of there. So that's why when we broke the fights down in the first place, we mentioned the decision victories from Dalby. It seems like every fight he's in, it goes to decision. He's a warrior. He's tough. He's hard to put away. So he always has a fighter's chance, to come back, win by decision, or have a really strong, push in round three when a guy's gassed. So I never count Dalby out. However, I was proud of Renat for being able to, withstand the late attacks and the late onslaught from
Mm-hmm.
Dalby, and then ultimately edge out that decision victory. So that was certainly an interesting fight.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, man. The Lima fight, I mean, we went over that. Naimov, it just kind of sucks because we didn't get a chance to break that fight down with Lima. And we got Naimov with a bunch of other people, so that was what it was. The Jared Gordon fight, that one, I was sweating that one out, bro. That one, he was hitting Nasrat with some big shots. Nasrat was kind of peppering. He was busier, I would say, but once they went to decision, you always know there's that one judge that just gives the dumbest score and it throws it to the other side. But after the prelims, I was riding real high, brother. I was feeling real good. And the main card kind of killed me. Main card kind of stalled me out. I went, what was it, 6-5 on the card, and you were 8-3. So the main card is really where it distinguished and it changed. But let's talk about the one that broke our hearts, Ozdemir and Walker. Take
Rosamir and
you
Walker.
take it. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Walker looks washed. He had a nice little
Cheeks.
run to get to the upper echelon of that division. He's large for the division. He's fun to watch. He can sometimes be a problem for lesser opponents, but I think it's pretty clear and obvious at this point that you put him up against a guy that's technical with power, they're going to get Walker out of
Mm-hmm.
there. He does not have a chin. He doesn't have a chin.
Nope.
He's been starched in his past couple of fights, and not just the ref comes in and stops it. He's been out cold. I
He's been
honestly think he's
sleeping.
got brain damage at this point. I mean,
I mean, get
it
the man a
was
pillow.
get him a
He's
pillow. Yeah,
he's asleep.
exactly. Yep. It was unimpressive if I'll ever get out. I was very shocked at how early Ozdemir put him out, and the way
Mm-hmm.
he put him out. I don't see Walker making another push to the top of the division. I'm kind of out on the Johnny Walker hype train. I really am.
Yeah, it sucks because somebody that entertaining watching him fight. I mean, people who don't watch fighting, you watch an old Johnny Walker fight, like holy shit, they're into it, they're enjoying it, man. But I don't know what the dude's doing, bro. That's Ozdemir's only shot is to hit you with a big bomb, and you're walking to him, throwing these flying knees with your chin up in the air. I mean, get him a blanket, get him a pillow, tuck him in, because he's been to sleep twice in a row now, and it's been bad, like you said. But moving forward, man, Shara, our boy, One Eyed Willie,
The
coming
one-eyed
through for us,
Willie.
bro. Coming through for us. Trockley, Trockley was big. I didn't realize how big Trockley was, and this is also another fight that was changed from when we broke it
Yep.
down, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So
We didn't know the opponent at the time. I mean, we had an idea of who his opponent was going to be with, um, whatever his name was. But then Trockley
yeah, I
steps in,
forget.
Ludeback,
Oh,
uh,
Luderbach, that's who it was. Yeah.
Luderbach, which, Magomed would have won that as well. Magomedov, I mean. So to see, the new opponent, Trockley, I'm like, hey, he's got some submission upside potentially. Was never able to successfully get him down to the ground thanks to a little bit of a fence grab, but that's all right. If you're not
Blatant fence grab.
if you're not cheating, you're not trying in our book, right? So Shara, he did what he needed to do to keep the fight on his feet. And then, yeah, I think the weight cut just absolutely caused Trockley to gas. And then he was just a
hmm
standing practice target at that point for Shara. I mean, he kept doing these spinning attacks and all these kicks. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if this guy's even with it right now. Um, with Trockley, he just stood there and ate some big shots. So it was only a matter of time for him to get him out of there, and he did just that. So certainly an exciting fight. I'm glad that Shara performed the way he was able to perform. And that's what's expected of him at this point in his career on this rise to the
hmm
top. He better be doing that to some of these guys, especially these guys that haven't fought in like 2 years, stepping in on short notice. That's exactly the finish that we would expect from Shara. So good on him, man.
100%. 100%. Oh
Let's
man, this is where I gotta start taking him on the chin here. Is this Rodriguez Gastelum fighting on, man? I as soon as I picked Rodriguez by decision, gave it a couple days. I thought about it. I was like, I don't like the pick, and sure enough, came out. And again, like you said, to the T, he's gonna wrestle him. He's got the upside. They're both gonna stand and bang. But when it comes down to it, you want to win the fight. If you can wrestle, you need to wrestle. And he did, man. They both traded some leather pretty well, but Gastelum looked good. I will say I do think Gastelum changing at last minute saying he can't make 170 and they move it to 185. Rodriguez already cut to 170. I think that did play into it a little bit, but I mean still Rodriguez put up a fight. Both of them tough guys to finish. I mean Gastelum's got a fucking noggin on him, dude. That thing's huge, but yeah, another fight which started your calling it to a T run with the Gastelum fight, man.
Yeah, at that point, I was feeling myself. We were rolling. Fun fact, Gastelum hadn't landed a takedown in over 3 years. That fight, I believe he went 4 for 4, just exactly as I said he would. The
Jesus
wrestling
Christ.
background from Kevin Gastelum, I knew was going to have to come into play. I didn't think he's at the point in his career that he's going to be able to just knock guys out and rely on his power anymore. So I think he's going to have to revert back to some of those skill sets that's going to allow him to steal rounds late and then ultimately win these close decisions. I don't see a lot of upside at this point in Kevin Gastelum's career. However, it was certainly a solid performance based off of, the weight cut stuff and fighting at a different I get it, but at the same time it was a little bit I don't want to say unfair, but Rodriguez just didn't really have the best chance to make the same weight that Kelvin was going to come in at, and I think it definitely played a factor when Kelvin was laying on top of him and he couldn't get back up to his feet. So
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
one certainly
100%.
didn't surprise me of the outcome, but I let's just say I don't care to see that fight in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. So yeah, man. Moving on. Another one. Back to back. Bangers. Plus 650 prop.
Bangers.
Let's hear it. Hype it up a little bit more, baby. Let's hear it. How are you feeling going
Fellas,
into round three?
fellas, going into round three, I knew exactly how round three was going to play out. All he needed to do was stay safe. This was the exact repeat of what I predicted with Volkov and Derek Lewis, except for Derek Lewis's fight, he got a little risky. Came in and engaged when he didn't need to and got absolutely starched. I knew going into round three that wasn't going to happen this time. He's learned from it. He's experienced. He's a vet now, and I felt very, very good. I was messaging JP the whole time. Round one, Volkov. Round two, Volkov. And then once it went into round three, I knew Pavlovich had been beat up the entire fight. I think some of the power was leaving his hands. I didn't feel like he was going to be much of a threat. There's really no takedown threat, no submission threat. I was feeling amazing. Obviously, when it went to the judges' scorecards, I didn't even have to feel worried about this one. The other decision
100%.
victories, yeah, I was a little worried. Little Jared Gordon Nazareth. I was worried. I was sweating. But in the Volkov Pavlovich fight, man, I felt good. I was on top of the world. Plus 650. I called that. Your favorite YouTuber is not calling that. I'm now your favorite YouTuber, your favorite UFC guy. I'm the man. I'm the GOAT. I'm gonna ride this high until 303, and then we'll see. We'll see where I stand after that.
That's why we call it locked door, baby. We're locked in over here.
We are
Okay.
locked in.
Locked in. The main event. The main event. I want to take the L on the chin. I Robert Whitaker showed us he is still that fucking dude. Okay, that was disgusting. Ikram came out, didn't feint any level changes, nothing. Gave Robert Whitaker the entire time of the fight to sit there at his distance. And someone like Rob, I'm sorry, man, but even if it is like what a week, 2 weeks when they got matched up because Hamzat pulled out, something like that, you got to know right away if I can wrestle better than this guy, it needs to be immediate. I need to come out, pressure him, get him against the fence, and start takedowns, level change, something. He didn't do any of it. Rob does what we were so used to seeing him do in the past, in and out, popping in and out. The way that he does that is just so gorgeous, and his accuracy. He feinted the uppercut when he wobbled Ikram. What did Ikram do? Nothing. Just put his arms up, didn't cover up the middle, nothing. So Rob said, "Okay, how do you want it? I'll give it that way." Minked him up, uppercut, out cold. I mean, Robert Whitaker, man, it's good to see. I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm that's the one loss I was okay with on the card because I like Rob. I just thought Ikram was gonna wrestle him more, but it was impressive, dude. It was impressive.
100%. He said, "You want it? I'll give it ya." And he gave it to
Oh,
him. He
you
gave it to him.
some, I'll fucking give it ya.
I'll give it ya. Yeah, honestly, JP and I can wear this one on the chin like Ikram did. He got caught. His legs starting to wobble. I was like, all right, this fight's over and it's over quick. I agree with your take. I thought Ikram was going to be able to shoot a takedown, get some control, um, and really show Robert Whitaker that side. There was just nothing there. He stood with him, and he got outstruck. He got caught. So, yeah, certainly a loss there in the main event. We'll learn from it. We'll get better. I think they rushed him into that spot, but if you're Ikram, you take that opportunity. Why wouldn't
Oh,
you?
100%.
You're a guy that only has a couple fights in the UFC. Now you got a chance to fight Robert Whitaker, Bobby Knuckles. Go do it. Go put on a show. It was
Mhm.
unfortunate he got caught. I hope he continues to have his rise and his moments in the UFC. And this doesn't set him back too much. But yeah, it was a little too big of a bite out of the apple for Ikram, it seemed like, and we'll see how he bounces back for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, you can't turn that down if you're a Crum. You got to do it, win or lose. You got to do it because that gets your name out there. You'll be viral for a little bit. It's for the wrong reasons this time, but it
Yeah,
is
that's
what
definitely
it is,
going
man.
on the Whitaker highlight reel. I mean,
Oh, that's on the tube.
you
That's on the
got your
tube for
place in
sure.
history. Yep,
But yeah, man. Like we said, the lock, Shara, nail it.
bang.
Who bang? Unfortunately, the parlay with Shara, Renat, and Namov didn't hit, but Renat nailed it. Bang. Brevin hit a big plus 650 prop, 8 for 3. I went 6 and 5. Still not bad, 6 for 11, over 50% still, brother. So it was good, man. It was a great card.
And two of
Our
the show
DGen
parlays
parlay.
hit. Yeah,
Yeah, 2 of the short parlays hit, and then the juicer Dumas got pulled, so Dumas was out, but every other leg was hitting. It was all coming together. Ov Evie, Hamdulillah, Sight. Boy got clipped out cold. Is what it is. It was close, man. But one thing about the card, I will say, ever since the new gloves came out for the UFC, I think every card after that, knockouts have been very minimal, very
hmm
a very small amount of the time. In this card, it was nice to see that people can still do it because there's been chattering and we're not sure if the knockouts are going to be the same way. So it was nice to see some knockouts, some action finally. But yeah, with that, man, let's jump straight into 303, shall we?
let's do it.
Let's get straight into it. So the first thing got to be addressed. Heartbreak, man. This was going to be our big show. This is what we were aiming for because the notorious, the Mac, the man was going to be on the card fighting Chandler, main event. Connor snapped his pinky toe in half. It was a clean break. His foot's a balloon. My foot was a balloon. So he pulled out and they just took Chandler off the card. They were hoping to reschedule it later, but that's all right, man, because they stacked this card, okay? Twice now that Yuri and Pereira are going to save a card, and this card's going to be juice, all right? We're leading off with Ricky Simone versus Vinicius Oliveira. Brevin, how we feeling?
Yeah, man, this is an interesting matchup. Um, Ricky Simone, somebody that I believe he's lost his last three fights. He only stands at like 5'5", 5'6". I'm not too high on him. Whereas Vinicius Oliveira, he's a newcomer in the UFC. I believe he is from Dana White's Contender Series. So I certainly think that there's going to be some early nerves from Vinicius, but he certainly has some highlight stopping power. If you go back and watch some of the victories that he has had, they are in incredible fashion. And I think that he's on his way up. He um, came into the Contender Series and absolutely turned the lights out on his opponent. So I'm kind of high on Vinicius. I really am. Ricky Simone lost the last three fights, like I had mentioned. At one point, he was very solid. He has had some experience thus far in the UFC, which sometimes you may look at and say, "Oh, UFC experience versus a guy that this is his first real UFC go." It's something to take into consideration. I don't necessarily think so in this fight. I think that may be something that you may want to throw out the window. I don't think that Vinicius is going to be subbed either. And I think that that's Ricky Simone's only path to victory. He's had some decent submission wins, but in this fight, I think Ricky Simone gets starched. I think he gets his lights turned out. I have Vinicius Oliveira dog money plus 185 as my pick. I also
Leading off.
believe Vinicius is going to turn Ricky's lights out. KO TKO is my prop parlay, not parlay, my prop pick for this fight as well. I think he catches him with a knee, with a kick, with a right hand, just turns his lights out. Bingo, bingo, night, night.
Night, night. Leading off with dog money. Leading off with dog money, man.
The dogs will
I
be
I
barking.
agree with. Let's get the dogs out. Take them for a walk. Get them comfortable. Okay. Because all night we're looking at good. We're looking at great lines all night. But I agree with everything you said, man. 100%. Simone, we've seen him 8-4 in the UFC. He's a tough guy, but his striking on the feet is not something that you're like real worried about, right? When you watch him fight, it's not anything crazy special. Which on the other side, Oliveira, I mean, he's got a flying knee KO. He's got knockouts. He's 16-3 with KOs in his entire career. That dude can decapitate some type of people, and that's what he's come to do in this Simone fight. And I agree with you. I don't see anything that Simone's gonna do that can negate that. They're gonna be on the feet. Vinicius is quick. He's explosive. Whether it's takedown defense, trying to get off the cage, anything he does, he's explosive with it, and he's gonna be strong. He's 3 inches taller than Simone. What's the reach? Only a half-inch reach advantage for Vinicius, but I'd love to see a KO to start the card. I'll probably sprinkle prop bet KO. My official prediction is gonna be Vinicius to win. I'm probably not gonna pick by KO. I'm just gonna stay straight money line, but might sprinkle something. See what the KO prop looks like. It might not be too juicy. Might be plus 180, plus 200 something. But I agree. I will go with Vinicius to win the first fight on the card.
All right. Next fight, we've got Syria versus Carlos Hernandez. Syria's minus 475 favorite. Carlos Hernandez is plus 340 underdog.
Oh man, this one is not even close. I mean, it's not going to be close. Suyura is 9-0, I believe. It's his UFC debut, so that's a big thing. Hernandez, I would say it's the same thing as Simone, is not impressive really anywhere. It's what 4-0 KOs, 4-0 in sub, 1-0 decision. I mean, the Hernandez is 0-1 for KOs. Like that does not look good, man. And Suyura's on the road to UFC, so that's another thing. If he's signed, they see a big prospect and stuff like that. He's a great wrestler. He's quick on the feet. He just seems better everywhere than Hernandez. And I don't think it's close. I don't think it's a hard pick. I'm going Ray Suyura for the second fight on the card. As far as the prop or the decision, I'm going to double back on it, man. I'm going to double up. I'm going Surya for KO on the prop. Round one, round two. I don't think he gets anywhere close to round three. Under 2.5, I think bet on this one. But Surya by KO.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Um, I've got I've got down here, Ray is he's a strong grappler. That's what he's going to look to do. He has a very strong wrestling base. He has crafty submissions as well. He's attempted 2 twisters, which I find interesting. It's fun to watch. He's very creative on the ground. Whereas Hernandez, he's a scrappy guy. He'll continue to work in every position. However, he is susceptible of getting taken down. And I think that's exactly how the fight's going to go. I think Ray's going to be able to get the takedown and then control him on the ground and look for the submission. Give me Ray for my pick, I also think he will get the submission victory in this fight. He's just so skilled, so well versed. That's what he's looking to do at all times. I think he's going to be able to get that off against a guy like Carlos Hernandez. So that'll be what I'm going with for this fight.
Very nice. Very nice. Moving on. Third fight on the card. The big boys. Andre Arlovsky versus Martin Boudet.
Big booty Boudet.
Boudet.
Boudet. All right, let's start with Martin Boudet. He's a big boy. Kind of looks like myself, except I got hair. Um, he got absolutely pieced apart in his last fight. He doesn't give me anything too impressive on the feet. I mean, some may say that he's got power, and I would kind of watch his fights back and think otherwise. It's not something that I'm super excited about for this fight. I think it's a weird matchup, to be quite honest with you. He is somebody that surprisingly has a number of victories in different ways. He's got 6 KOs, 3 submission wins, and then a couple decision wins as well. Like I said, last time out against Shamil Gaziev, got absolutely pieced apart. And before that, he's just fought a bunch of nobodies, in my opinion. So this is going to be an interesting fight. Andrei Arlovsky is old as dirt. I mean, the dude's
Dirt
old.
itself.
Is
Dirt
he?
itself,
He's
brother.
45, right?
Yeah, 45.
This dude's 45 years old, still putting on the gloves, still thinking he's in his prime, I guess. But he's also very experienced. He's been in there with so many different names. I think that that is a plus, but at the same time, it's going to be hard to look past the age of this guy. He likes to throw kicks. He's pretty light on his feet. He gets in and out of the pocket pretty nicely. This was a tough fight to break down for me. However, after watching all the tape that I possibly could, my pick, another dog, Andrei Arlovsky. Let's get it done. Get this big boy some work. Um, I'm picking Andrei Arlovsky. I think he's going to be able to get in and out of the pocket, land leg kicks, really slow Boudet down, and then piece him apart like we saw in the last fight. So give me Arlovsky by decision for my winning method pick as well.
I uh I wish I could back you. I really do. But I can't, man. Can't do it. Can't go with it. Like you're saying, Arlovsky, 45 years old, 3 fight losing streak. And then they give him Boudet. Shamil Gaziev did piece up Boudet. But then Gaziev goes out there and who was it? Rosenstrike that he fought. And he quit on the stool. He looked terrible in that fight. Granted, it's Rosenstrike, so he can strike much better than Boudet, but you quit on the stool, brother. Can't be doing that. So that loss is just all over the place in my head. I want to take it as his cheeks, but then Gaziev, just how he handled himself in that fight is just terrible. And then I personally cannot go with Arlovsky. 3 fight losing streak, 45. Is this Poop Bowl round 2, brother? Poop Bowl week 2. We get to see 2 of them back to back. Harry back Poop Bowl was last week. This week it's 2 Grizzlies fighting over a salmon. Everybody better hope this fight doesn't go over 2.5, because that third round is going to be 2 big boys, 2 fat boys just leaning on each other, breathing heavy the whole time. Okay, give me big booty Boudet to sub Andre 45-year-old Arlovsky. Takes his 4th loss in the row. Out of here. He's retiring, man. If there was a prop bet on that, I'd bet it. Andre Arlovsky, 4th loss in the row. Get him out of here.
All right. Boudet by sub. I think that's an interesting call. Yeah, it's Poop Bowl 2.0. I hate to call it the poop bowl. I feel like that's going to become a thing on this show that we use a lot. I don't want to call it the poop bowl because I definitely think there's going to be action in that fight. It may not be sexy, It may not be pretty, but I think they're gonna throw. I think they will throw hands. I think it should be exciting to watch these bums go in there and fight each other. I think they set up this fight for a reason. Boudet, to me, he's just got nothing. He shouldn't even be in the UFC. I like the guy. I've cheered for him in the past, but he's really got nothing. So they put him up against a 45-year-old Andrei Arlovsky. Go for it. Let's see what happens on Saturday night. Next fight, we've got Michelle Waterson Gomez at plus 155 facing Jillian Robertson at minus 185.
Oh man, I used to be a really big Michelle Waterson fan. When she was in her early days and stuff like that, her side kicks, the way she chambers her kicks and just uncorks them, man. Her legs are big. She's got strong legs, karate background. But I don't know, man. She's been struggling 4 losses in a row. She's been doing what is that? That sheepdog response with Tim Kennedy, that old MMA Navy SEAL. So she's been doing a lot of that. I don't know, man. Nothing she does really gets me excited for this fight to think that she can finish, let alone win. First of all. Second of all, on the other side, Jillian Robertson, I mean, kind of the same way, brother. None of this is appetizing per se, and I'm hoping we get a finish with the big boys previous to this fight because I don't want too boring back to back. I'm snoozing already in the early prelims, but yeah, man, just the fact that it sticks out 4 loss streak. I mean, she's 6-8 in the UFC. Robertson's 10-6. So just based off of that, it just looks much better. Robinson lost to Ricci, Tabitha Ricci, which I personally think looks pretty good because Tabitha Ricci, she's on the up and coming. The UFC's trying to push her name. She also lost to Bueno Silva, who farts later on the card, who fights later on this card, and Macy Barber also. So yeah, they're losses, but again, that's good competition. Those are good losses to have as good fighters, stuff like that. So give me give me Robertson by decision to beat Waterson Gomez, and I hope not, but I think Waterson Gomez gets her walking papers after this too, brother.
Yeah. This fight is not something that I'm super stoked for. I think I'd rather watch the self-proclaimed poop bowl of the last fight over this fight. However, Jillian Robertson, she's on a nice little win streak. I mean, not win streak, but beating Polyana Viana, and then before that,
hmm
Pierre Rodriguez and a few others. Like, there's potential there. She's young, up and coming. I think she has a good skill set. Whereas on the other side, Michelle Waterson's the complete opposite. This is similar to the Boudet and Arlovsky fight before, where they're facing a younger opponent up against a very old opponent. Michelle Waterson, I believe, is like 38 years old. She's had many recent losses. I think this is going to be used as a stepping stone for Jillian Robertson. Sometimes you'll see the UFC do that and strategically match people up in that sense. So give me Jillian Robertson. I'm not gonna pick a prop for this fight. I just think it's gonna be kind of back and forth. However, I think that Jillian Robertson's youthfulness, cardio, and some of the other skills will prevail in this fight. So, Jillian Robertson's gonna be my pick.
Yeah, if you're gonna bet on this fight, I personally probably not gonna bet on this fight. But if you were, you absolutely had to. You're kicking yourself over not betting this fight. Okay, over 2.5, never a bad bet. Okay, moving on. Let's get to something exciting, huh? Let's get to a bigger one. Moving up the card. Let's get away from these poop bowls, these boring fights, brother. This one, I'm crazy excited for. Peyton Talbot versus Giannis Gamori.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun fight. Very high on Peyton Talbot. not he doesn't have much of a ground game. He will want to stand and bang on the feet. But he does have really good striking, and that's where the excitement is. Think of him kind of like a different version of Sean O'Malley. I'm not comparing the two, but style wise, that's kind of how they're going to act in the octagon. Rely on the heavy hands. He's got a beautiful check left hook. I think he's very confident. He kind of has a swagger about him that I really love. I wrote down here in my notes, future star in the UFC. He just has this stardom about him, the way he carries himself, the confidence that he portrays on a week in and week out basis, and every fight that he has. I'm really high on Peyton Talbot. Now his opponent, Giannis, he fights with a really wide stance. That's something that I noticed, which makes him very susceptible to leg kicks, to that lead leg. He's good at throwing the leg kicks back. I just think that in this fight, Talbot's going to be able to chop away at that lead leg of Giannis, and really be able to dominate him on the feet. I don't see this going to the ground at all. So if it's just going to be standing and throwing Talbot all day, that's going to be my pick, Peyton Talbot, to win this fight.
1000%, brother. Everything you said, I agree with it. Peyton Talbot, you don't want to compare the two. I will 1000% compare the two. If you watch Sean O'Malley strike and you watch Peyton Talbot strike, both of them are gorgeous, bro. Both of them, their range management, there's the way they mix up strikes, how they angle off, they can hit you from anywhere. Like you said, Gamori has a very wide stance. I can already tell you Talbot is going to eat up his calf, his thigh, stomp the knee, the kicks that Volkov was using for Pavlovich. Gamori's going to have to address that early in the fight because I guarantee Talbot's coming out looking for those leg kicks, looking for feints, trying to get him to bite on anything. Yeah, man. Gamori, he's 0-1 in the UFC, and he fought William Gomis. Very weird decision there.
Ending.
It was
Yeah.
by it was by a body kick. So it's very not skeptical is not the word I'm looking for, but yeah, bro,
Well,
it was
he
a
was
weird
he
ending.
was claiming he got kicked in the nuts,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
that's
everybody
and
on the replay.
so he turned and he wasn't defending himself. The ref came in and
Hmm.
called it. He said,
Yeah,
fight on."
so
That was clean, and he was just not fighting back. And I wrote that down too. Low fight IQ, brother. You're in a fight. I
help
do not care if you got kicked in the cup. Turn around and defend yourself. Fight. I've seen guys
help.
getting knocked out still covering their head and they don't even know where they are. This dude, he's kind of a quitter. I don't like his style. I think that there is a reason that they fed him to the killer in Peyton Talbot. Go look at the money line odds. Minus 1800 for Peyton Talbot, plus
Uh,
900 for Giannis. It's not even something we need to spend time talking about. I can't
it's
stand
not. It
Gamori.
won't be close, bro. It will not be close. I mean, you turn your back in a fight, like you said, you're an idiot. You're just an idiot. The unfortunate part about this fight is, like you said, minus 1800. Parlay piece kills a parlay. You got to put in a bunch of dogs. The KO prop gonna be minus whatever, maybe minus 200. You could bet first round KO. Again, it's still not gonna look good, man. So unfortunately, this fight we just can't bet on it unless you're not trying to make your money back. You're trying to make quarters. But I agree. I will also go with Peyton Talbot. Not gonna give it a prop. I'm just gonna money line it. But like I said, man, the betting is gonna be hard for this fight.
Yeah, and by money line, you're just picking him to win. You're not actually going to be putting money on the money line. I mean, hey, 50 cents is 50 cents. You know what I'm saying? Oh my, because if
It's where we started, brother.
even if you put $50 on this guy, you're getting a dollar back, pretty much. So it's just, yeah,
It's
it's
bad.
not gonna be one to bet on. I wish I could. I wish the line was different. Who knows? Maybe someone will come out and really hype Giannis up, and that line could shift once people start betting on the fight. Um, we can only hope for that because Peyton Talbot, yeah, huge favorite in that fight.
Hmm.
Next fight, we've got Charles Jourdain versus Gene. Silva, Jourdain is a minus 125 favorite currently, and Silva is plus 105.
Interesting one, man. Very interesting one. Jourdain's tough. He's notoriously tough. He'll stand in the pocket. He'll throw it with you. Silva, on the other hand, 9 Ws in a row. Impressive thing to look at. 1-0 in the UFC. He's 9-0 for KOs, 2-0 in subs. Now, by decision in his whole career, he's 1-2 for the decisions. So you think that's going to be the way that he gets beat. Jourdain, on the other hand, 2-6 with decisions. Jourdain has fought the who is who of that division, though. Arosa, Billy, those are two big names. He's coming off a recent loss against Sean Woodson, with Sean the Sniper Woodson, tall guy, good hands. And it was a decision loss. He went all the way to decision with it. So it's very interesting, man. Personally, I'm gonna probably prop bet Silva to KO somewhere around there. Look at that. But I had a real tough time picking this fight, man. But if it taught me anything, I don't know who was Silva's his one UFC bout against Weston Wilson, who we did see recently 2 cards ago
Mm-hmm. Sub.
get a submission win. Yeah,
Yep.
big sub win. He was a dog in that fight too, but I don't know, man. I don't have enough off Silva. Silva's going to be the smaller guy by 2 inches. The reach is identical. It's clear that Silva's coming to knock his head off. I think Jourdain's tough enough. I think he can move. He's got to be smart. If he could, I'd try and take him down, pressure him as much as possible, tire him out, because that first round is going to be where Silva's most deadly. He's got the most power. His energy's up. I am going with Jourdain for this one by split decision.
By split decision. Jourdain by
Split.
decision.
Split. Don't do unanimous. It's gonna be split, brother.
Yeah. No, I like Charles Jourdain. He's got a strong stand-up game. He's an all-around brawler. Like you said, he's very tough. He does a good job switching stances, and striking to all parts of the body. He'll get his leg kicks in. He'll eat away at the body, wear you out, and then obviously throw his head strikes as well. I really like his overall skill set. And if you go back and watch the Sean Woodson fight, I am so high on Sean Woodson. I think he's going to be a problem in this division. And Charles Jourdain held his own. He threw some really great strikes. And then he ultimately lost by split decision in that one. So it was a very good fight. He also has a lot of experience in the UFC. His opponent, Gene Silva, I have in my notes here. Gene is a Walmart version of Michael Chandler.
That's pretty accurate. That's good. That's accurate.
Listen, he does have some stopping power in his hands. He's explosive. That's all his movements are, is those big explosive movements. He will sometimes jump guillotine when it's not really needed. He likes to do that, similar to Dustin Poirier, like just randomly jump guillotine. In this fight, if he does that, that's going to come back to hurt him. He'll then have to be, on the bottom with Charles Jourdain just throwing strikes over the top. I don't see that being a good game plan if he does it. But yeah, he's going to look to be explosive. And I think Jourdain's going to be able to weather the early storm and be able to kind of pick him apart as the fight goes on due to the experience, and the overall mental toughness, the physical strength of Charles Jourdain. I'm picking him to win this fight. No prop on this one. Charles Jourdain, money line over Gene Silva.
Good one, man. It's a good one. Moving up. Moving up the card. The vets going at it. Cub Swanson, Andre Feely. How you feeling, huh?
I see what you did there. I like it. We got Andre Touchy Feely in this fight.
Ooh.
Ooh, let's get
Ooh.
touchy with it. I kind of stuck to this Walmart version trend. If you take a guess at who I wrote down as he was the Walmart version of.
Andre Feely?
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who did I write down? He's the Walmart version of.
On the spot. Walmart version of Andre Feely. Hmm. I don't know, man. In same weight division? Same weight class.
No, not at this point.
Okay. I mean, just based off the look, based off the style, I'm probably going to go with Mr. BMF himself, Max Holloway.
Bingo,
Yeah.
bango. Andre
Bingo,
Feely,
bango.
Walmart version of Max Holloway. JP just knows me so well. Great job. That was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. I love that. I love that. Yeah, he got absolutely starched in his last fight.
Yeah.
Um, he definitely needs a comeback win. He's decent on the feet. But yeah, like I said, he fights like Max. He's not Max. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that they're comparative other than their styles and their overall looks. Um, However, he's going up against Cub Swanson. Cub's an old man. We've got a lot of old men on this card. Um, yeah, he's very old.
Yeah, 40 years old, man. Damn.
The age of 40. He can't lay down the gloves. He won his last fight. I promise you he did not win that fight. Go back and watch it. He didn't win that fight. He got the W on the scorecard in his record, but he didn't win the fight. I don't think he still has it in him. He's an old timer. He's a vet. He has a lot of experience. He's been in there with some greats, but he's old and he's not the same fighter. Give me Andre Feely to win this one. I also think Andre Feely is going to go out there, touch him a little bit, touchy feely,
Ooh.
and get the decision victory. That's my pick for this fight. What about you?
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way, man. I mean, again, 40. We've seen Swanson forever. His younger days, I mean, Swanson's fought anybody you can think of, the who's who. He's been in there with everybody. He's tough. Same thing, Feely. He's tough. He'll stand and bang with you. The Max Holloway Walmart version, I mean, we got Max Holloway at home, basically, is what you're saying. The great value version. And I agree 100%. Feely got clipped and dropped by Dan Ige in his last fight. It's Dan Ige. That jab work, that right hand from Dan Ige. But yeah, man, one thing for sure, I would not put any money down on this fight. It's just two old dogs, two vets. It's just the same person, basically. We're looking at the same people. It's just 6 years difference is all it is, basically. So I'm gonna piggyback on that and go Andre Feely by decision.
All right. Next fight, we have Joe Pfeiffer versus Mark Andre Barultz. Let's see what those odds are real quick. We've got Joe Pfeiffer as a minus 275 favorite currently with Mark Andre Barultz at plus 225.
I mean, Pfeiffer 3-1 in the UFC was on a heater, bro. From Contender Series, getting the big stoppages in Contender Series. Everybody saw Bo Nickel, and then Joe Pfeiffer popped up, said, "Oh, these are two guys that possibly could go at it, two big names." And then he fought Jack Hermanson, and Joe Pfeiffer looked like duty cheeks, brother. He looked terrible in that fight. He looked like he was just going to go out there and get an easy finish. Hermanson was going to quit on him. The higher you get up in UFC, the higher competition. These guys don't quit, man. You can put them in a deep submission. They will keep fighting any way that they see fit to just win the fight, man. But I like Pfeiffer a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's a big guy. Burial, he doesn't impress me. Nothing that he's done in the UFC has really impressed me. What's his record? Like 16-7 or something like that? Yeah, 16-7. He's been around for a while, but I mean his UFC record's 5-6-1. And then you ask yourself, can he do what Hermanson did? I think Hermanson's just a better version. He does everything better than Burial. And I think they're giving Pfeiffer somebody to regain his confidence, like a stepping stone, like you said earlier. I think Piper's not going to walk through him, but I think Piper will win. So give me Joe Piper for this one. I'd love to bet Piper by sub. Barry Alt is 1-1 with subs. I don't know Joe Piper's fighting IQ at this point. I don't know if it's high enough. Stand and bang with him, level change at a good time. Not sure, but give me Joe Piper.
Yeah, I like that pick. Pfeiffer, he's a powerful fighter. He also has a really nice left hook that he uses to his advantage. He uses it really well. Some cons about Joe Pfeiffer. He definitely has some issues moving his head off the center line. He doesn't have great defense when he's getting outstruck. We saw that late in the Hermanson fight. However, in rounds 1 and 2, Pfeiffer looked to be dominant. He looked to be in control. I think his gas tank wasn't there, and it was a 5 round fight. And I certainly think that that kind of changed the trajectory of his career was having that 5 rounder against a guy like Hermanson who wasn't going to give up, who was going to continue to push forward and have great cardio, and it showed. Um, so he wore down late in the fight. Take that as you may. I think it was a great learning lesson um, for Joe Pfeiffer, who hadn't really been tested, excuse me, to that point. And so for him to have that loss, it may have been a good loss at this point in his career. I think it's going to help him. However, this one's also just a 3 round fight. And I think that's really where Joe Pfeiffer excels. Mark, his opponent, he's got solid boxing. He does. He can stand and bang. He keeps a high guard and he stays defensively sound. Um, However, countering what I just said, he always seems to get rocked. In every fight that I watched for Barry Ultz, he seems to have gotten caught a couple of times. His legs start to like wobble underneath him. Um, and I think that in this fight, Pfeiffer has thunder in his hands. He can turn the lights out. So for that reason, I think he's going to outstrike Marc Andre. Give me Joe Pfeiffer to win this fight.
Good one, man. Good one. Hard to pick against him. Hard to pick against him. Moving up. If I'm not mistaken, that is the end of the prelims, and this brings us to the first fight on the main card. And honestly, I'm kind of upset that this fight is this soon in the card, man. I want this fight later on in the night, but maybe
Yeah.
they're trying to get eyes on it, eyes on the main card. This is what everybody is coming to see. Ian Machado Gary versus Michael Venom Page, his second fight in the UFC. What do we think?
Yeah, MVP Michael Venom Page. He definitely has a unique style that he brings. If you guys go watch the fight against Kevin Holland, that'll tell you everything you need to know about Michael Venom Page. That's how he's fought his whole career, bouncing in and out of the pocket, really light on his feet, kind of has this karate style. Keeps his hands at weird angles and comes at you from different different perspectives and sometimes causes you to not necessarily see his strikes coming, which has made him very successful as well. He also likes to showboat, excuse me, and put on a show. He's a fun fighter to watch. He would be susceptible to takedowns. That's his one flaw. He's a great striker, but if someone came in there and took him down, we haven't seen his ground game. And he's yet to prove himself on the ground. But he looked very good in his last fight against Kevin Holland. He really surprised me. I had taken Kevin Holland in that fight. So to come out and win in the fashion that he did by decision against Kevin Holland, avoid any takedowns, it was really impressive. His opponent for this fight, Ian Gary, definitely has good striking. It's as of late, it's won him some decisions, some close decisions, a unanimous decision as well. He seems to not want to leave his feet. And that's the one thing that I think this fight's gonna be is just a let's stand and let's trade, and let's point strike. And I don't think that's a successful recipe for Ian Gary. So with that being said, give me Michael Venom Page, another underdog at this point in time to win this fight. He's going to outstrike Ian Machado Gary, and ultimately score more than him. So give me MVP by decision as well.
Another dog on the card, huh? Another dog on the card.
Oh, they're barking,
It's
baby.
gonna come down. I mean, we're still walking them down the street. We're letting them see everything, you know. I I feel the exact same way, man. That's what I was going to bring up. Is this fight is going to come down to does Ian Gary want to stay undefeated? Because if you want to stay undefeated, there is literally no reason other than your ego to stand and bang with Michael Venom Page. The Kevin Holland fight shows you everything you need to know. He's going to be in and out. He's quick. His head movement. He knows where you're going to be. He knows where you're going to try to hit him at. He's going to dip at the last second, hit you with something, throw those little side karate kicks out. Ian Gary has to be smart enough to realize if he wants to continue on the path and the trajectory that he is in the UFC, you got to take him down. You either got to make it a dogfight for 3 rounds and grind out a decision, or you got to try and sub him. Because if you can get a stoppage over MVP at this point, I mean, Colby can't keep ducking him, or he's getting a number one contender shot, man. So I'm a huge Ian Gary fan. I mean, Michael Venom Page is hard to dislike too. All of his fighting, the little Pokemon ball roll he does after he wins that celebration. He's like you said, he puts on a show. Something about these Irish man, bro. I gotta go with him. I gotta go with my guy. I'm going with Ian Machado Gary. I'd love to see him get a finish, but I think this fight is going to decision because both of them are going to be very hesitant on the feet to not get clipped. So give me Ian Gary by decision.
Interesting. That's an interesting prediction there. You know, you compared Ian Gary to your other Irishman fellow. Um, I think the other Irishman
Yo,
fellow that you're referring to has a little bit more backing to his name to act the way he does. Ian Gary is all ego. Yeah, he's undefeated, but who has he fought? How many belts does he have? How much money is to his name? He is not Conor McGregor. But hey, maybe he can get there one day. I mean, the guy, yeah, I don't know. Not a big fan of Ian Gary, but
I'm
that's
not a
okay.
fan of his life choices. I'll tell you that, brother. The stuff he does outside the cage, I'm good on that. But the inside the cage, he's good, man. And it's all gonna come down to just the IQ. How bad do you want to stay undefeated? I mean, you're a mixed martial artist. We know what MVP is. Got to take him down. Got to grind it out, bro.
Do you think he's going to be able to land takedowns in that fight?
I think he should be able to. I don't think there's any reason why he doesn't. They're both the same size. MVP doesn't have any losses by subs, but I think Gary's good, man. He's real good. So the next step that he has, because he's every interview you see, he's talking about, oh, I'm trying to perfect my craft. I'm trying to go up. I'm always trying to learn and get better. Well, the next step he has is the smarts, the IQ in the cage. Okay, are you gonna give this other guy a chance? Ikram versus Rob, perfect example. You went out there and you did exactly what that other guy is notorious for. You got to go out there and implement your game plan from the get go. You got to take center of the octagon, put pressure on him. He knows MVP is going to be popping in and out. If he times his blitzes, level changes. I think an easy path for grappling for Machado Gary's there if he's smart enough to take it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big question. I think um, if he's able to do that, like you're predicting, it could go a different way. I definitely think he's going to want to put on a show. And maybe his ego will get in the way. He knows what MVP is about, and he wants to be the center of attention, getting the crowd involved, making,
Mm-hmm.
you know, faces and doing different things during the fight as it's happening. And I don't think playing into MVP's game is going to be the answer for Ian Gary. So we'll have to see. But both interesting takes there on that fight. All right. Next fight on this card, we have Myra Bueno Silva at minus 175 going up against Macy Chiasen at plus 145.
Do not like Silva, brother. This is probably gonna be a biased pick, and it might come to bite me in the ass, just like the Johnny Walker one did. But Do not like Silva. Her last fight with Pennington, fought terrible. Couldn't level change properly. Nothing. Her takedowns were blatant as day, and that's the one thing she was coming to do. Chiasson, great highlight she has. Getting up kicked to the liver by Aurine Aldana. That was crazy to watch live. But I mean, Chiasson also fought Pennington, finished by Pennington by guillotine. She has a win over Norma Dump Truck Dumont, but nothing stands out from either of these girls. Chiasson's a bigger girl, and Bueno Silva's gonna come to wrestle, come to choke her out. I just personally do not like Bueno Silva. Her last fight put a real bad taste in my mouth. It'd be great if she could come in, get a finish, and shoot back to the top of the rankings, but give me Chiasson because she's bigger. I think she's better on the feet. Give me Chiasson by decision for this one.
Yeah. Myra Bueno Silva is a submission specialist. She's going to be looking to grapple, get the takedown, and find a sub. And she does do a decent opportunity, like she does do a decent job finding those opportunities within the fight. She isn't always successful, but she definitely understands her strengths and weaknesses and looks for those and does attempt them. So I think that she will go out there and shoot quite a bit, trying to get the takedowns and ultimately looking for submission attempts. Um, However, I think that her opponent, Macy Chiasson, like you said, is tall for this division, and she's 5'11 compared to Myra Bueno Silva being 5'6. I think with those long arms, it's going to help prevent those takedowns, and also her long legs. I mean, I think that she can shoot a single leg, and her balance is going to be able to push her up against the fence, and then she's going to be able to utilize her long arms to stay upright and not get taken down. She also, Macy Chiasson, also has a wrestling background as well. So it's not uncomfortable for her to get into those exchanges. I just think she's going to be able to utilize that to stay up on the feet. And then, like you said, on the feet, I think she has the advantage here. She is much longer as far as the reach goes, and then obviously, like we said, much taller as well. So use of kicks, use of strikes to the head, a nice jab is going to be able to get the job done here. I also have Macy Chiasson, and then I will also take Macy Chiasson by decision for this fight.
Yeah, man. I think the blueprint to beat Bueno Silva is out there from Pennington. That Pennington fight is the blueprint. And both of them fought Pennington. So Chiasson knows what Pennington's about, what she's good, she's not good at. I don't see how Chiasson wouldn't come out with that same style of game plan. Obviously, Bueno Silva's going to try to improve, but it was a bad fight, man. It put a bad taste in my mouth, so I just can't see her winning. Moving on, up the card. We come to Anthony Lionheart Smith, and there's no I can't be seeing this right. Roman Dolidze's nickname is the Caucasian. What? Okay, yeah, sure.
All
I
right.
guess, brother. How you feeling?
Yeah. Let's talk about the two fighters here. Anthony Smith coming off a nice win against Vitor Petrini. Um, he's got a Petrino, excuse me. He's got a ton of experience. He's been in there with pretty much everyone that's ever been in the light heavyweight division. Um, he's got good and bad losses to his name. Sometimes he looks like a contender in the division. Sometimes he looks great when he's got it all together, and other times not so much. Um, he's got a good stand-up game, and he does have a decent ground game as well. He's entered into like grappling tournaments. I think that is also a strength for Anthony Smith at times. Um, and we'll see how he utilizes it in this fight. His opponent, Roman Dolidze, two-fight losing streak, both by decision, which I found interesting. On the feet, he really likes his left high kicks. He seems to throw that over and over again. I haven't seen a ton of power coming from his hands. And keep in mind, Anthony Smith's going to be the much bigger fighter in this matchup here, with him standing at 6'4", and then his opponent at 6'2". I believe Roman, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he's actually moving up divisions as well. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've got him listed here at 186. He's going to have to put on some weight for this fight to hopefully come in and have the proper size needed, which could potentially answer the question about the power in his hands. It just didn't exist before this. And so maybe this is the good division for him. Maybe it's a mistake. I think with Anthony Smith's experience in the division, him being able to you know fight guys that have just upper echelon of skill sets, it's going to keep him well rounded for as long as he fights in the UFC. They're both 35, so there's no major age gap. However, I definitely think there's an experience gap here, and that's why my pick for this fight is going to be Anthony the Lionheart Smith. I think that he's going to be able to outstrike him. There's going to be more pop and power behind his punches, and then ultimately Roman's going to fold. I don't know if it goes to decision or KO, TKO, maybe a sub. However, I just think Anthony Smith's going to get it done. So Anthony Smith money line is going to be my pick.
Interesting, man. Interesting. Anthony Smith been around for a while. I mean, the experience that you touched on. Everybody's gonna think of the John Jones fight. He was on a tear, fought John Jones. My big thing is Anthony Smith will have these fights where he's supposed to just outclass the dude completely, and he fights like shit. People bring up the two Ryan Spann wins because Ryan Spann's this big world beater in people's eyes, apparently. Ryan Spann's got to be the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever seen fight in an octagon. That dude's fight IQ is a negative, bro. So Anthony Smith got those two wins. He fought Glover Teixeira, got his teeth knocked out quite literally by Glover Teixeira. Delidze's tricky. He's strong. His stand-up's very slow. It's very methodical, very slow. That left high kick he does like, but other than that, he doesn't throw anything at you to be worried about unless he's ready to uncork something. So that might be a problem standing there with Smith, especially because Smith is bigger. If Delidze is going to try and walk him down, Smith can just pump that jab out there, stick and move. So Delidze, if he gets behind on the scorecards, probably going to be a much tougher fight. The interesting thing for me is if this fight goes to the ground, like you said, Smith is a guy who does grappling tournaments for the UFC, stuff like that. He's very good on the ground. Delidze is very sneaky on the ground, man. He is crazy flexible for a 6'2" guy. Um, One of the fights, I forget who I was watching in the UFC. He went from a triangle, a reverse triangle on top to an armbar to a calf slicer on the ground at 6'2", 186 pounds. That's tough to do. That's tricky to deal with. So if this fight goes to the ground, I'd be real interested to see how those transitions go in that exchange and the scrambles and stuff like that. But no surprise here. I'm gonna pick against you again, and I'm gonna go with Roman Dolidze to beat Lionheart. I think Lionheart's old. I don't think he's as good as he used to be. And I've just seen him fight too many times where I feel like he should just outclass the fighter, and he lets them hang in there for a little bit. And I'm watching him do the stanky leg against who is it? Khalil Roundtree. That man had him dancing everywhere in the middle of the ring. So I'm going with the Leadze. The line looks great, minus 142, not terrible. So give me Roman Delidze money line.
You can have Delidze, man. You can have him.
I'll take it, brother. I'll
He's
take it. The calf
unimpressive.
slicer.
The calf slicer. That's what's sticking with you. Oh man,
This
he's
is
unimpressive
flexibility,
to me.
man.
Yeah, I can
On
touch
the
my
ground,
toes,
it's
but I'm not
flexibility.
beating Anthony Smith. All right.
Oh man, can we get a confirmation on that toe touch here?
I'm not bending
That's
over
funny,
on
dude.
camera for you.
Hey, somebody clip it.
All right. Next fight on this card, we have Brian City Ortega at plus 125 going up against Diego Lopez minus 150.
Minus 150 for a reason. Diego Lopez is my favorite up and coming fighter right now. Watched him 3 times now. Most recent one, UFC 300, clipping Youssef, putting him out. One before that, an impressive submission win. I like Diego Lopez a lot. His haircut, not so much. A little weird. Himself in the cage, he's good, man. He's disgusting everywhere. T City, I don't like T City as a guy. He's weird. I don't like the vibe he gives off. I don't like how he carries himself. He's good. He's fought some very, very good people. Almost won the belt. Almost put Volk out. That was a tight guillotine that Volk somehow survived. Top guillotine. I mean, Max Holloway having to teach this guy how to put his hands up to block a 1-2 in the middle of the fight. What do we do? You're in the UFC, you don't know how to block a 1-2. I'm just not a big Ortega fan, man. And I like Lopez a lot. And the line on Lopez minus 150, 145, I think that is a steal. I'm hammering Lopez. I'm putting money on it. I'm putting the house on it. Whatever it is. Give me Diego Lopez by any way to win this fight. I do not care.
Do you think the fight's going to stay standing or do you think it's going to happen on the ground?
I think if Lopez wants to win cleanly, I think he'll keep it standing. He's clearly the better striker in my eyes on the feet. He's got better power. He's got better technique. Ortega can hold his own on the ground. He's a very good grappler, and like I said, almost put Volk out, almost put the champ out when Volk was good. I know he's been knocked out twice. Let's relax, but I would say on the feet, man. I think Lopez is can clip him on the feet.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Um, Diego Lopez, he's on a nice little hot streak right now. Came into the UFC, I believe on short notice. We watched his fight together against Mavsvar Evloev. And put on a really good show. Ultimately lost by decision, but since that, with full fight camps, went out and won via triangle armbar versus Gavin Tucker, knocked out Pat Sabatini, and knocked out Sodiq Yusuf. Here's my thing about Diego Lopez is as skilled as I think that he can be, I think that we learned a valuable lesson from last week's card that sometimes the UFC puts these fighters in positions where they may have bit off more than they can chew. And I think Brian Ortega, he is so experienced. He's been in the octagon with such high level guys. Um, and yeah, okay, we want to mention Max Holloway, teaching him how to block his punches.
In the middle of the fight, brother. In the
Lo-
middle, punching him in the face.
Listen, Lopez is not Max Holloway. Okay. Max Holloway is he is a killer. Yeah, he's been in there with Alexander Volkanovski. He's been in there with Yair Rodriguez. Diego Lopez, his best win to date was his last fight, Sadiq Yusuf. No one talks about Sadiq Yusuf. And I think that when you match a guy up, no matter how much hype he has, similar to Ikram, first a guy that has been there, done that, is not completely out of his prime. I mean, Brian Ortega is only 33 years old, so he's not old. I don't think that he's incapable of fighting anymore, like maybe, you know, some of these other guys, Cub Swanson. Um,
Mm.
and I think that this fight's going to stay on the feet. When you have two guys that are so skilled on the ground, normally they cancel each other out and they won't go to the ground. They respect each other's jujitsu a little bit too much. They're going to stand and bang. And I think Brian Ortega has the experience, will be able to eat the shots of Diego Lopez. Give me Brian Ortega to win this fight against Diego Lopez. I think maybe it's just a little bit too much too soon. They're trying to save the 303 card. They bring in Diego Lopez. Of course, he's a scrappy brawler. He's going to say, yes, I'll take it on short notice, just like we saw in his first UFC fight, which he lost by decision. Brian Ortega is better than any opponent that he's faced thus far. And Brian Ortega has fought guys much better than Diego Lopez. So therefore, give me Brian Ortega.
I mean, I will say Ortega's chin is legit. The man's got a granite chin, dude. He ate shots from your ear, Max. Dude's hard to drop, but yeah, man, good one. We've been, what is that, like 4 or 5 now? We've been picking against.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be
Um,
right.
if you're watching the show, I'm sorry we're not giving you conjoined answers. This is just our takes on our own individual research. We also don't talk about the fights before doing the show with one another. So this is all brand new to me. I don't know the ways that JP's thinking right now. I wish I could just change it a little bit. Once again, we'll have to see who's right on Saturday night. He'll also be here watching the fights with me. So he'll certainly not hear the end of it if my picks are once again correct.
Once I win, we'll see how it goes once I win. But yeah. Moving on to what everybody wants to see: the main event, the big boys, the saviors of the card. Alex Pereira, Poatan, Shama versus Yuri Weird Man Bun Samurai Prochazka, bringing out the belt, brother. Showing them who the champ is. Yuri Prochazka, Alex Pereira. Revan, I got an inkling who you're picking, but how you feeling?
Yeah. Obviously we've seen these guys fight once before. It was a good fight for as long as it lasted. Yuri applied pressure. Yuri found some shots and then ate a shot from Alex Pereira, which turned the lights out. Not fully. Some will argue it was an early stoppage. Yuri will tell you that he was out, and it was a good stoppage. So I don't think that there's much of a question on how the first fight went. I think that they were right to have this rematch scheduled. It's obviously an opportunity for Yuri Prohashka to come out and redeem himself. Man, when you look at this fight, it can go a number of different ways. However, I don't think that anybody can currently be in the position to count Alex Pereira out of any fight at this point in time. The dude is on the hottest hot streak that we have ever seen in the UFC. His rise to stardom came the fastest that we've ever seen. Two division champion. It's unbelievable the work that Alex Pereira has been able to do within this organization for the UFC, saving cards. I mean, there is a valid discussion that right now he is the face of the UFC. I understand we still have John Jones within the organization and we still have Connor.
Where?
Exactly. This is the guy that shows up whenever, wherever to fight. He's a killer. Israel Adesanya, he really messed up by calling out Alex Pereira, saying that, he was a drunk at a bar. He woke a freaking beast. I'll never count against him. I've done enough of that in my day. He's shown me enough. The left hand of God. Give me Alex Pereira once again to just put an end to Yuri Prohashka's rivalry against him, to solve any unanswered questions, and to turn the lights out fully of Yuri Prohashka Saturday night. Alex Pereira knockout TKO. It's gonna be a good one, but it's gonna be bad for Yuri Prohashka. What are your thoughts?
Shama. I mean, I feel the same way, bro. I like Yuri a lot. I mean, his last fight with Rakic, dude stood in there, ate some big shots, weathered the storm of Rakic, started chopping down, and got the finish. I like Yuri a lot. His style, the way he carries himself. Like you said, their last fight, oh, it's an early stoppage, early stoppage. Everybody's complaining. He gets an interview. Nah, I was out. I don't think it was a bad stoppage. I mean, you cannot dislike this dude. Yuri is the most likable fighter in the UFC. Style, the way he carries himself, everything, man. Unfortunately, he is running into a brick wall. Like you said, Pereira is a stone cold killer. That check left hook, I've never seen something thrown so casually and devastate people's chins, man. It is unreal the power this guy has. As long as he's fighting, unless it's a grappling fight, I do not want to put my money against him. I never will. One thing's for certain, this fight is not going the distance. If it gets anywhere near, Yuri Prochazka will go out of his way to push the action and not let it go the distance. So
Yeah,
somebody's getting finished either way. You can't bet against Poetan, man.
no.
Poetan by KO. I'm calling it right now. Poetan, round three, like you said, out cold, starched, dribbles his head off the canvas. Alex Pereira, and still, let's get it, baby.
Round 3. That's a long time, bro. Yeah, I don't I don't think it makes it out of round 2, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
his power is devastating. I definitely think in round 1, Yuri's gonna be a little bit more calculated on his entries, but you said it yourself. In times of feeling of desperation, Yuri will push the action, and that is exactly what you don't want to do against Alex Pereira. You need to stay patient in your own right, and Yuri can't. Yuri has shown that he will even gas himself out in these
Yep.
fights. I mean, even like going back to the Glover Teixeira fight, he looked absolutely winded. He looked
Mm-hmm.
winded.
Yes, he
I
did. He
it,
was he's stumbling everywhere and everything, bro.
it's not gonna bode well against Alex Pereira if that is the case. So yeah, maybe come if they make it to round 3, I would feel good about that too. Um, I don't think it makes it out of the first 2 rounds. Alex, he's too calculated. He's too powerful. I mean, I don't think there's a harder puncher, maybe even in the world, than Alex Poatan Pereira. You got to take him.
I quite literally rather break my arm than get punched by Alex Pereira. I'm not even joking. Not in the slightest bit.
All right, moving on to my favorite part of the show parlays, where we try to give you our picks to make these parlays fun, to hopefully win some money with you guys, alongside you guys, if you decide to follow suit and tail the parlays. However, this is not gambling advice, so quick disclosure: if you lose, it's not our problem. It's not our fault, but we do try to give you some parlays to have some fun with. So JP, you want to kick us off, man, with the JP's juicer parlay?
The juicer returns. The juicer nearly hit last weekend. Okay, Dumas got cut out. Ikram broke our hearts. Okay, not this week. Not this week. The juicer's going. All right, we're starting with Suyura. Okay, first one 9-0. He ain't losing. Second one, we're throwing the big booty boy in there. Martin, big booty Boudet. Third leg, Joe Pfeiffer, stepping stone. Barrialt, not better than Hermanson. Pfeiffer's winning. Okay? Third one. Brevin's not going to like it. Dolidze. Smith is washed. He's old. He can keep fighting bums that breaks into his house. He's not beating Dolidze. Okay? By calf slice, maybe? We don't know. We might have to see. Next leg. Diego Lopez, minus 142. Great line. T City. He's getting clipped. Big one. And the final leg, Shama, Poetan, and still Alex Pajeda. That's a 6 leg parlay right there. Without Suyura's odds, because they weren't in DraftKings when we're making them, but that's
Yeah,
just going to
I'll
juice it up more.
I'll throw the odds up on the screen for you guys right now. Um, but yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Um, we'll have to see how that one plays out. I obviously question some of
Oh,
them,
it's
but
hitting.
hey,
Oh,
hey,
it's hitting.
we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. All right, now it is time for Brevin's basic parlay. We're kicking it off with Roy Ciura. I think JP pronounced that much better than I did. But he's the boy. He's getting it done. Next fight, Charles Air Jourdain. And then to finish us off, we have Alex Poatan Pereira Chama. See you at the top. That's getting locked in as Brevin's basic parlay. I'll throw that up on the screen for you guys right now. Feel free to screenshot it, whatever you got to do to follow along. Now, it is time for a locked door MMA's lock of the night. JP, who do we got for the first lock of the night?
This was a tough one, man. I went back and forth. I had a couple guys that I was looking at, and a couple guys that I wanted to go with, and then I made my mind up, and then we started doing the show, and I changed my mind again, man. Who I'm going with is Diego Weird Haircut Lopez to beat Brian Ortega. Lock it up.
All right. And my pick for the lock of the night, my boy, Ree Suyura, to get it done on the early prelims. That's going to be our lock door lock of the night. Let us know what you think in the comments and who you guys have winning these fights as well. We would love to hear it. Also, we are now streaming on all podcast platforms. So if you don't want to watch it on the YouTube, you can listen to us, whether it be in your headphones at work or on your way to work in the car, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast. So be sure to check that out as well.
Yeah, man. Just share us your thoughts, anything that you guys like, dislike, new things that we can do for the channel. We're excited, man. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we got better quality. I don't sound like I'm in a tin can anymore. We got a nice mic, better headphones. So we're working out the kinks, but as always, it was a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Bingo, bango, baby. Peace.